another round of huge wins in the Democratic primary race, but Bernie Sanders says he's still in it to win it. What impact will all this have on the race moving forward? For this, I'm joined by Patrick Murphy, former Democratic member of Congress from Florida, chairman of the political nonprofit group Future Forum Foundation. He joins me from Florida. Before we talk about the primary race, how do you rate, Patrick, the way President Trump has been handling the coronavirus?
Well, as a Democrat, I guess it's hard for me not to be biased. And traditionally, times like this were never partisan. This was never a Republican or Democratic issue. You just want the nation and the people to be safe. But when the president and many people in his party start mocking something that is so unknown and really new to the world, it calls into question if they're really planned and prepared for this. And I think you're seeing that volatility in the markets play out because people are worried that we don't have a commander-in-chief that's even taking this seriously, much less prepared for it. So I wouldn't give this a passing grade, and I think I'm in the majority of Americans. I actually saw a Quinnipiac poll that said 49% of Americans do not approve of this, while 43% do approve of his handling of the coronavirus.
He's accusing the Democrats of politicizing it. How do you react to that?
Democrats, want the nation to be safe. They want a president who's going to take this safely. I always would say it's better to be, sort of over-prepared and really hope for the best here. But we need the necessary procedures in place. We need doctors and medical experts really setting the advice of what we should be doing here. The president was sort of jokingly saying just a couple of days ago that, he could be a doctor. He sort of laughed about it, that he understands this so well, that it was, it's a perfect response, almost as perfect as this letter to the Ukrainians that got him impeached. I mean, I almost thought he was trying to be funny and joking. It was such a mockery of what's happening right now. So, look, Democrats aren't trying to politicize this. They're just trying to say, we just want someone that's serious, that's going to take this serious, because people will and will continue to die in our country, and seniors, like in the state of Florida where we have so many, are in harm's way with this, if not taken seriously. So let's just take this serious. Let's not make it partisan. Issues like this should be above that partisan nonsense, if you ask me.
All right. What's your take after the primary votes this week? Is Joe Biden a cinch?
I think so, and especially with the way Democrats do it with proportional voting, there is no massive sort of landslide movement that will happen from here on out. And if you look at the next 4 states that we have coming up, they're all states that Hillary Clinton won. Therefore, it's probably safe to assume that Joe Biden will win those next 4 states, and big states like Florida are next week. So I expect that margin, that delicate margin of sort of victory to increase for Vice President Joe Biden. And I think the pressure will continue to mount on Senator Sanders to suspend his campaign and really unite as a party. And I think that's something different in this election in 2020 versus 2016, where I don't think Bernie Sanders even knew how dangerous Donald Trump would be to this country, and wanted to keep that movement going. He was very passionate about it. And he's got a lot of strong beliefs, which we all respect him for. But now he knows what he's up against and how important this is. And I think he hopefully understands in his heart of hearts that uniting this party, getting his supporters behind what I would almost say presumptive nominee Joe Biden is more important than anything else. And he could probably play a very important role in that future administration of Joe Biden, hopefully, as, if he were to win, and helping to steer some of that policy that he believes in.
What do you make of this Biden turnaround, where they're counting him out a couple of weeks ago and now he's the favorite?
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, quite a few things sort of, happened all at once that I don't think could have been orchestrated any better. And I think the campaign would probably even admit, there was probably a little bit of almost luck in there, the way it all happened and the timing of it. But their plan from the beginning, to their credit, was that South Carolina was their state. They knew they weren't going to, do great in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, but South Carolina was where they were going to turn things on. and the way the other, sort of candidates split the other states and were competitive, and we had voting malfunctions, it all just sort of lined up. And when candidates started getting out and almost back to back supporting Joe Biden, that created just an upswell of momentum. And it was almost like there was this telepathy within the Democratic Party that, hey, we need a candidate like Joe Biden who's a steady hand, who can defeat Donald Trump, who is going to carry the issues that we care most about to center stage, and not going to be a risky candidate like Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, would be.
Give me your analysis of what a Biden-Trump race would be like.
Well, there's no reason to think that this won't be a nasty, election coming up. I mean, the trend has been that the elections are getting more and more partisan, that there is more negativity, that there's more name calling in the mix. The president has already come up with a nickname for Vice President Biden, and will probably continue, with these sort of middle school jabs. I can't imagine what these debates are going to be like with someone with as much maturity and tenure sort of in public service as Joe Biden up against Donald Trump, who is almost regressing in his 4 years in office with the attacks and claims that he's making. So it's going to be nasty. I am pretty confident that Vice President Biden is going to do the best he can to stay above the fray, to talk about the big picture issues affecting the people of our country. Talking about, the middle class, talking about job security, talking about economic stability, climate change, healthcare, all these important issues. And if he has to get in the mud, he's not afraid to throw punches where necessary and stand up to Donald Trump. And I think that's why a lot of voters have really come around to support him so strongly, because they know that he is able to walk that line so well.
Two-part question. Why is Bernie hanging around? And if Biden is the nominee, do you expect Bernie to campaign with him at his fullest strength?
Bernie Sanders has, in many ways, started a movement. Right? He is speaking to so many Americans that are frustrated right now. And we've seen movements like this, quite frankly, around the world. This isn't just unique to the United States. In many ways, a lot of the supporters of Bernie Sanders are similar to the Trump voters of 2016. People that feel Washington isn't working for them, that they want someone with a totally, different view that's going to kind of burn the place down. And that's what Bernie has been offering. I think there are some policies of his that are definitely worth talking about and considering, and some issues that he brings up that we need to address. Do I agree with his solutions? Typically not. But nonetheless, there are people that are angry out there, and for good reason in many cases. Do I think he's going to get behind the vice president, assuming he moves forward and continues to get more delegates and looks to be the nominee? I'm an optimist, Larry. I can't help but think he is going to do that eventually. He took a lot of heat in 2016 for not getting behind Secretary Clinton in a stronger way to help her win. And look at the result. His folks didn't show up to support Hillary, and some of them even actually went over and voted for Trump. I don't think he wants that on his record again. And a little bit different from that 2016 race, he knows Joe Biden well. They've been friends for a long time. I think there's a certain amount of respect the two of them have for each other. They see each other as both genuine people that are in this for the right reasons. Doesn't mean they agree with all the policies and solutions, but they respect each other. And at the end of the day, Bernie Sanders wants what's best for America. He wants a Democrat to be in office. And I hope that him and the former Vice President Joe Biden, can come together with, sort of a treaty on how they unite this Democratic Party, how they unite this country, rise above the fray, and take on Donald Trump in November.
Patrick, as always, thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.